Most retirees spend years worrying about market crashes, but there's another threat that can quietly cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars in retirement. And most people don't realize the damage until it's already done. It's called a required minimum distribution. And the larger your retirement accounts are, the bigger the problem often gets. I've seen retirees who genuinely did everything right. They saved consistently, invested wisely, and built seven-figure retirement portfolios. Then they reached their 70s and found themselves locked into a high tax situation they never planned for because nobody ever walked them through how required minimum distributions actually work. So, to help you avoid that, today I'm going to show you how required minimum distributions work, why so many retirees underestimate the problem, and what you can actually do to avoid being forced up into higher tax brackets. Before we get into it, at Bundza Wealth Management, we help retirees to keep more of the nest egg you've spent a lifetime building up. So if you're approaching retirement or already retired and want to find out if there are opportunities for you to reduce your retirement tax burden, then there's a link below this video where you can schedule a free call with our team. There's no cost and no obligation to move forward, just a friendly conversation. Now let's talk about the retirement tax trap that many retirees blindly walk into. You see, it's common to think retirement taxes happen only when you choose to withdraw money. So to stay in a lower tax bracket, you can simply adjust how much you're withdrawing. But traditional retirement accounts, like your 401k or your traditional IRA, don't give you that choice forever. Once you reach age 73, required minimum distributions kick in, and that flexibility largely disappears. The government tells you a minimum amount that must come out each year, whether you need that money or not. The withdrawals become mandatory. And the bigger your nest egg, the bigger the withdrawals must be. Plus, the percentage you must take out goes up every year. So that's where the problems start stacking up because these forced withdrawals can easily push you into a higher tax bracket, meaning you lose more of your nest egg to the IRS. And naturally, when you're losing more money than you planned for to taxes, this can disrupt the rest of your retirement plan. Picture a retiree who spent decades building up $1,500,000 in tax deferred accounts. Their investments keep growing in retirement, and life is good. Until required minimum distributions begin, the government requires them to start taking increasingly large distributions every single year. At first, the amount might not feel overwhelming, but the withdrawal percentage actually climbs each year. And here's the part that can feel unfair. The retiree may not even need the money. Maybe Social Security covers most of their expenses. Maybe they have pension income. Maybe they have savings sitting outside their tax deferred retirement accounts. None of that matters. The money must come out, and every dollar withdrawn gets added to their taxable income. And not only can these required withdrawals drag you up into higher tax brackets, but they can also create a compounding snowball effect that catches a lot of retirees off guard. For example, with Social Security. Many people assume their Social Security benefits will largely stay untouched in retirement. But when required minimum distributions begin and your taxable income rises, then suddenly a larger portion of your Social Security becomes taxable too. Think about that. The same forced withdrawals are generating taxes on themselves while also triggering additional taxes on your Social Security income. It's a double hit. I've had conversations with retirees who were genuinely shocked when they saw how much of their Social Security was being lost to taxes because of their required minimum distributions. Nobody explained this could happen when they were building up their accounts. Nobody showed them how these pieces would interact 20 or 30 years down the line. And unfortunately, by the time most people discover the issue, their options are already more limited than they would have been. But that's not all. There's another consequence that catches people completely off guard: Medicare premiums. As you may already know, your Medicare premiums are partly tied to your level of income. The higher your level of income, the higher your monthly premiums go, which means when required minimum distributions forcefully push income higher, some retirees end up paying significantly more for Medicare, money they weren't expecting to lose. So you have forced withdrawals you didn't need, taxes on those withdrawals, higher taxes on your Social Security, and then higher Medicare premiums on top of everything. That's a chain reaction that's very hard to unwind once it's in motion. This is why, when it comes to your retirement, only looking at your investment returns can leave you exposed. Retirement success isn't just about growing assets, it's about managing taxes, income, healthcare costs, and cash flow together as one coordinated strategy. Something I've noticed over the years is that most retirement plans are built around accumulation. How much can you save? How much can you grow? How large can the account become? Those are important questions, of course. But eventually, retirement stops being about accumulation and becomes about distribution. And distribution planning requires a fundamentally different way of thinking. The biggest risk in retirement often isn't poor investment performance, it's inefficient withdrawals, paying unnecessary taxes, allowing your required minimum distributions to grow so large over time that they create problems across the entire retirement plan. Retirement planning and tax planning should not be two separate conversations. They need to work together from the start. And this is exactly the kind of planning we work through with our clients at Bundza Wealth Management. We spend a significant amount of time on tax strategy, not just investments, because keeping more of what you earn can matter just as much as the returns you generate. So if you're retired or approaching retirement and want help building a coordinated strategy around tax planning, income, and long-term wealth preservation, there's a link below this video where you can schedule a call with our team. We'll take a look at your situation and see whether there are opportunities to reduce your future tax burden before the government starts forcing the issue. Now, here's the good news. For many retirees, there's a window of opportunity to dramatically reduce your future retirement taxes and stop this snowball effect happening to you before required minimum distributions kick in. You see, many retirees experience lower income years between leaving work and when Social Security, pensions, or required minimum distributions start. And during those lower income years, there are strategies you can use to potentially reduce future tax exposure and build more flexibility into the back half of retirement. The key is acting sooner rather than later, because the longer you leave it, the more your options narrow considerably. And by the time required minimum distributions are underway, there isn't much you can do to stop them. That's why the retirees who tend to come out ahead aren't necessarily the ones who accumulated the most money. They're the ones who planned around the full picture: taxes, income, healthcare costs, Social Security, and investments working together, and who made those decisions before those decisions were made for them. So, again, if you'd like help evaluating your own situation, you can schedule a free conversation with our team at Bundza Wealth Management by clicking the link below this video. We'll look at your accounts, help you understand where you may be unnecessarily exposed to future tax risk, and explore whether there are opportunities to build a more tax-efficient retirement before problems show up later. No pressure and no obligation to move forward, just a real conversation about your numbers. The goal is to help you keep more of your nest egg for you and your family, rather than overpaying the IRS. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.